Yes, can I audible? Okay, so after a long time we have started the lecture. So which topic we started? You remembered anything? Which topic we started? No one. कुठला टॉपिक स्टार्ट केला आपण? लक्षात नाहीये का तुमच्या काय सुरू केलंय? Are you able to listen? अरे टॉपिक कुठला सुरू केलाय? अभिषेक? टॉपिक कुठला सुरू केलाय आपण? काय आठवतंय का? Okay, fixed principle, that is topic number 4 from Kant philosophy. We started this topic and I think we finished half of the topic. So in this today we complete this topic. So starting with the topic number 4 from Kant's philosophy, topic name is fixed principles, law and government from center. This is the name of topic, and this topic is based on the aphorism number 4, that is reference given of aphorism number 4 of Dr. Hahnemann by Dr. Kent in this fourth topic, that is the fixed principles, law and government from center. So what is explained by Dr. Kent in this topic? So in this topic mainly he explained about the medicine of experience. That is, he think that is we will take up today the study of the last part of the third paragraph relating to the fixed principles by which the physician must be guided. That is, he think that there must be some fixed principles to every pathy, and that fixed principles guided the physician to how to practice their pathies according to their fixed principles. So each and every pathy must be depend on a fixed principles, and our homeopathy is also depend on a fixed principle, and on the basis of which we can practice a homeopathy neatly. So in this he explained in this also the medicine of experience. So what is the medicine of experience? That in the previous era, or also in the modern era also, that is the modern pathy that we call it as allopathy, it is based on the medicine of experience. That is, if that is in this pathy we learn the various things by experience. So there are no fixed principles in this pathy, and in every year how everyone get the experience, the things changes. So Dr. Hahnemann was against it, that is there must be some fixed principles, and things not changes or do not change according to the era or according to the person. So he avoided, that is the medicine of experience, and allopathy is totally depend on a medicine of experience. You know that the brother or the compounder sisters also practice allopathy very well by their experience. They take the experience by doctor and they can practice the allopathy very nicely. But to practice the homeopathy, you must have the thorough knowledge of your pathy. You must take the knowledge of your pathy. Then and then only you can practice the homeopathy. And only with the experience you cannot practice homeopathy. As to practice homeopathy, you must know your fixed principles, you know your what is given in your pathy, and after getting the knowledge of your pathy you can practice the homeopathy. So this is the main difference explained in this first or second para. After this, he explained about the internal government, what is present internally in the man. So, in internally in the man, he think that there is some center, and that center govern all the environment or all the government. That is government from the center. So, in this, he took the example of that is also our government. That is there is some center, and that center. Uh, uh, what we call it as an internal government of a man that also uh, goes on a to change everything or that correspond to that everything that is changes in the life also or in the what we call it as our government also. So in this, in the government of man there is a triad. He said that in the government there is a triad, that is the first, second and third, and which gives the directions, that is which governs the body, which gives the directions to the body. And in this he first consider this is the cerebrum, cerebellum and the spinal cord, or collectively he generally named it as a brain, spinal cord and the nerves that governs the all body. What are the different functions that is taking place in the body that are due to the our triad, that is the triad is brain, spinal cord and the nerves that runs our body. That is the main center is the brain, spinal cord and the nerves. That three things governs our body. And accordingly he also gives the example of that is the will and understanding. What is present in every being? There is a will, there is presence of understanding, and there is a vital force. So vital force is the immaterial thing which governs the body, which runs the body, but it is the immaterial things. But what is the material things? That is the brain, spinal cord and the nerves. These are the material things. But what is the vital force, or what we call it as a what is our will, what is our understanding, or what is our vital force? All these things are the immaterial things, and all these things runs our body, and these are the center of body. So after this is also explained that is the every cell in man has its representative of the innermost, the middle and the outermost. That is every cell has the innermost layer, middle layer and the outermost layer. You know that every cell has three layers, that is innermost, middle and the outermost. And accordingly he explained as in the innermost of a man there is a will and understanding, then in the middle of every cell there is a soul, that we call it as a simple substance or we call it as a vital force, and outermost it is the body, that is the material thing which is the outermost. So everything has these three things. First, innermost is the will and understanding. Secondly, middle, that is the soul and the simple substance. And the outermost, that is the material body, that we call it as a material body. What cell we see with our eyes, that is the material thing we see with our eyes, that we call it as a body. So prior to this, there are two layers, that is the middle, which is governed by the soul and the simple substance, and the innermost that is governed, that is the will and understanding. So after this he explained about that is in our civil government we see the likeness to this, that is let any great disturbances come upon our government at Washington and see how like lightning this is felt to the circumferences of the nation. So after this he gives the example of our actual government, how actual government runs all the peripheral activities or all the peripheral things that is going in the our government. So main center is present, and that center governs the body also and our uh, peripheral area also. So this is regarding the how center governs the body. After this he explained about, that is, we have seen that everything is governed from the center. Now what comes in the direction of law, what comes from principles, comes from the center, is flowing in accordance with order and can be confirmed by experience. That is what is going, that is, all thing is governed by the center, and that is flowing in accordance with order. Everything is flowing in the accordance with order, and that can be confirmed by the experiences. So to apply it more practically, what we learn from the use of the law of homeopathics, what we observe after learning that law, and the doctrines that relate to it, all our subsequent experiences confirms the principles. For example, every experience with Brainia makes Brainia so much brighter in mind. With experience, one grows stronger, one does not change or alter with every mood, but becomes firmly established. If everything tends to disturb the mind, that means that you are in a state of folly and that you are insane. It may be a little both. A man that relies on experience to guide him never knows. His mind is constantly changing, never settled. It has no validity. Validity is something absolutely essential to science. It is necessary for the homeopath to look upon laws as valid and not upon man. As there is no man valid in homeopathy, it is very principle itself that is valid, and the things that are not in accordance with principle should not be admitted. Excuse me. So in this he explained that, that is, to understand the homeopathy you must understand the principles of homeopathy, and in homeopathy there are the fixed principles and on which the all homeopathies depend, and we call it as a valid if there are some fixed principles. That is, our pathy is valid if there are some fixed principles, and we practice our pathy according to our principles that is explained by our masters. So after this is explained as, we see from all this the necessity of potentization. All causes are so refined in character, so subtle in their nature, that they can operate from center to circumference, operate upon man's interiors, and from the interior to the very exterior. The coarser things cannot permeate the skin. Man's skin is an envelope protecting him against contagion from coarser materials, but against the immaterial substances he is protected only when he is in perfect health. So in this he give the example of, that is, potentization. What is pathies depend on a fixed principle. So in this the potentization is our one of the principle, that is the drug potentization. So in this he explained about the necessity of potentization. So what is the potentization? We prepare our medicine by the two methods, that is the trituration and succussions, and we convert the material thing into immaterial thing with the help of these processes. That is, what is the material substance that we convert with the power into immaterial thing. As we know that in our body at the center there is a soul, or what we call it as a simple substance or the vital force, which is immaterial thing, and to cure that immaterial thing we require a immaterial power. That immaterial power of medicine can cure the what is deranged in that immaterial soul or in that immaterial simple substance. So in this we use the process of potentization. So in this he explained as, all causes are so refined in character, so subtle in their nature, that they can be operate from center to circumferences. That is, everything is go from center to circumferences. That is, while doing the process of potentization also, in the trituration we rotate the mortar or the pestle in a mortar in a from center to periphery, that is from center to circumferences. So each and everything is a fixed, and accordingly each and everything goes from center to circumferences. And in this also he give, that is, the man's body is also not permeable to material things. That is, it is the man's interior, and from the interior to the very exterior, that is the coarser things that cannot permeate into the skin of a man. So the coarser things that cannot permeate the skin, man's skin is an envelope protecting him against contagion from coarser material. That is, in this it is protected from coarser material, but against the immaterial substances he is protected only when the perfect health is present. That is, when, that is the coarser materials, but the against the immaterial substances is he is protected only when he is in perfect health. That is, if the man is in a perfect health, immaterial things cannot disturbs that healthy condition. But if he is not in a perfect health, he is not having that much immunity, then that immaterial things also affect that body. But if he is in a perfect health, that immaterial things cannot permeate into his health. So in an unguarded moment he suffers, and this is the nature and quality of disease cause. So it can only flow into man from the center and towards the outermost in a way to disturb his government. That is, to disturb the government, the things go from to disturb the government, the things go from outside to the inside. But to cure the government, it goes from center to circumferences. You have to remember this difference mainly. That is, it can be only flow into man's from the center and towards the outermost in a way to disturb his government. The disturbances of government is a disturbances of order, and this is all there is of sickness, and we have only to flow this out to find that the very house of man lives in, and his cells are becoming deranged. Changes are the results of disorder and end in breaking down, degeneration, etc. Pus cells and the various forms of degeneration are only the results of disorders, so long as order and harmony go on perfectly. So long the tissues are in a state of health, the metamorphosis is healthy, the tissue change is normal, the physiological state is maintained. So if the internal of a man is in a healthy state, there is no any disturbances. But if the internal of a man gets disturbed, you see the changes on a physiological basis. That is, there you see the degeneration, there you see the metamorphosis, there you see the degeneration, then first cell formation, then breaking of a new cells. So these are the different physiological processes that you see after the disturbances in the internal of a man. So after this, what doctor can explain, we will see. But up till now, are you understanding what is going on? Yes, are you able to understand? Yes, many of joined late. संपलं होतं रे राजा ते 12 5लाच. बर, कळतंय का काय चाललंय? विजय, खूप दिवसांनी फिलॉसॉफी घेतोय आपण. 8-10 दिवसाचं गॅप होता वाटतं मध्ये. ओके चालेल. नेक्स्ट पॅरामध्ये डॉक्टर कॅडने एक्सप्लेन केलंय. We can only comprehend the nature of disease and the tissue changes the result of disease by going back to its beginning. The study of etiology in the old school is a wonderful force because it begins with nothing. It is an assumption that tissue changes are the disease. From the doctrines of homeopathy, it will be seen that morbid anatomy, no matter where it occurs, must be considered to be the result of disease. So, in the beginning, what is thinking? That is, disease is occurred. Why it is occurred? It is not considered. There are the morbid anatomy, that is the changes occur in the tissue, and that changes we call it as a disease condition. This is the fixed principle, that is the disease is occurred, and why it is occurred, how it occurred, these are not the things that they considered. They only consider that there is a change in the tissue, and that change in the tissue is called as a disease condition. So all curable diseases make themselves known to the physician by signs and symptoms. So, what is the curable disease? That themselves known to the physician by their signs and symptoms. When the disease does not make itself known in signs and symptoms and its progress is in the interior, we at once perceive that man is in a very precarious condition. Conditions of the body that are incurable are such very often have no external signs and symptoms. So, what is considered when the disease is cured? The signs and symptoms are removed, that we call it as a disease conditions. And if the signs and symptoms are not removed, that they called it as it is a incurable disease. So, in the fourth paragraph, Hahnemann says the physician is likewise a preserver of health. If he knows the things that derange the health and cause the disease and how to remove them from the persons in health. This is the aphorism number 4. What is the aphorism number 4? That is the preserver of health. The physician is likewise a preserver of health. If he knows the things that derange the health and cause disease and how to remove them from person's health. If the physician believes that causes are external, if he believes that the material changes in the body are the things that are disturbs health, are the fundamental cause of sickness, he will undertake to remove these. That is, he will cut off hemorrhoids or remove the tumor. But these are not the objects of Hahnemann maze. So, what is explaining in aphorism number 4? That is, physician must be the preserver of health. That is, he must preserve the health, or he must know the things that derange the health, that causes the changes in a health. He must know these things. So in this, if physician believes that causes are external, if he believes that the material changes in the body are the things that disturb the health, that is, if the physician consider that the only external things disturb the health condition, or material changes in the body are the things that disturb the health, then are the fundamental cause of sickness, and he will undertake to remove these. That is, if the cause is external, it also we have to remove that cause externally. That is, if there is any hemorrhoids, if there is any tumor, we have to remove that externally. But this is not the Hahnemann's view. What is the Hahnemann's view? There is something internally occurred. If there is internally any disturbances, then and then only the external things can affect that internal body. only external causes cannot affect the body, but internally there is some disturbances, and that internal disturbances gets affected due to that external causes. So the main cause is in the internal of a man and not in the external. And if the cause is in the internal of man, we have to treat that internal of a man first, and not we have to remove that part or anything from the body externally. That is, we only remove the hemorrhoids or tumor externally, but this is not the proper treatment. We have to remove this from the internally, as we know that there is something internally occur, then and then only the external thing can affect that internal body, and disease condition can occur. So the objects he means are invisible and can only be known by signs and symptoms. Of course, it is quite right for the physician to remove those things that are external to the sick man and are troubling him. These are not disease, they are in a measure disturbing him and making him sick, aggravating his chronic miasm so that it will progress and destroy. These are outward obstacles and not the disease. But in this way, man is very often rendered more susceptible to acute miasms. The things which keeps up disease relate more particularly to external things. There are conditions in man's life which keeps up and encourage man's disorder. The disorder is from the interior, but many of the disturbances that aggravate the disorders are external. The cause of disorder is internal and is of such quality that it affects the government from the interior, while the coarser things are such such as can disturb more especially the body, such as improperly selected food, living in damp houses, etc. It is hardly worth while to dwell upon these things, because any ordinary physician is sufficiently well versed in hygiene to remove from his patients the external obstacles. So in this, here Dr. Kent want to explain that there is the internal cause, and to remove that internal cause you require the medicine which acts on that internal cause. But along with this internal cause, there is if there is internal cause, then external cause affects it, but that external causes makes the man more worse. That is, internally man is disturbed, and when external cause affects that man internally, then that external causes makes the man more worse condition, and that suffers more than that internal cause. And in this, you have to think that that is the external causes. As a physician, you must understand about these external causes also, as this affects the man more. So in this, you have to consider that external cause as a imperfected selected food, then living in damp houses. You have to first uh, cure these things, or you have to make changes in these things, that is the diet and regimen. These are the mostly the external causes, and that affects the man more than the internal causes. You know that the everything has an internal cause, and there is an internal cause, internal disturbances, then the external cause affects it. याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी असं एक्सप्लेन केले की इंटरनली मॅन डिस्टर्ब जेव्हा होतो तेव्हा एक्सटर्नल गोष्टी त्याच्यावरती काय करतात, अफेक्ट करतात. मग जेव्हा एक्सटर्नल गोष्टी अफेक्ट करतात, त्या एक्सटर्नल गोष्टीच काय मोठ्या प्रमाणात काय करतात, त्रास देतात पेशंटला. मग या कंडिशनमध्ये फिजिशियनला हे कळायला पाहिजे की कुठल्या एक्सटर्नल गोष्टीमुळे पेशंटला त्रास होतोय. मग त्याच्या डाएटमध्ये चेंजेस केल्यामुळे त्रास होतोय, ज्याचे काही इम्प्रॉपर फूड हॅबिट आहेत त्याच्यामुळे त्रास होतोय, की जे काही एखाद्या एरियामध्ये राहतोय म्हणून त्रास होतोय, किंवा एखाद्या कंपनीमध्ये काम करतोय म्हणून त्रास होतोय. हे एक्सटर्नल कॉजेस बघितले पाहिजेत, आणि हे एक्सटर्नल कॉजेस त्याला रिमूव्ह करता आले पाहिजेत. म्हणूनच आपण काय म्हणतो की फिजिशियन मस्ट बी अ प्रिझर्वर ऑफ हेल्थ. त्याला काय गोष्टी अफेक्ट करतायत आपल्या पेशंटला हे कळायला पाहिजे आणि त्याच्यापासून दूर करता आल्या पाहिजे. सो दिस इज द एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ aphorism नंबर 4th according to Dr. Kent, which is explained in this chapter. So after this, in the next para, Dr. Kent explained as in the fifth paragraph, Hahnemann says, useful to the physician in assisting him to cure are the particulars of the most probable exciting cause of the acute disease, etc. The probable exciting cause is in the inflowing of the cause as an invisible immaterial substances which having fastened upon the interior flows from the very center to the outermost of the economy, creating additional disorder. These miasms all require a given time to operate before they can affect the external man, and this time is called as a prodromal stage. So after this, in the next para, Dr. Kent explain about the aphorism number 5th, and in aphorism number 5th it is the explanation about the exciting causes. So what are the different exciting causes that excites that acute disease condition, or that gives to the acute disease condition in the man. So in this there is a stage of prodromal, then stage of progress and stage of decline. In every acute disease you see the three stages, that is prodromal stage, progressive stage and the decline stage. So in this is the true of sora, psychosis and syphilis of every acute contagious disease known to man. So while the influx is upon the innermost of the physical man, it is not apparent, but when it begins to operate upon his nerves and tissue, affecting him in outermost, then it becomes apparent. Each miasm produces upon the human economy its own characteristics. So in this he explained about that is the acute disease condition, and which are caused mainly due to the acute miasms, or we call it as a, these are mainly caused due to these exciting causes. So in this, if the physician is dealing with acute cases, he must take into consideration the nature of the case as a malady, and so also with the chronic cases. It is supposed that he is conservant with disease forming from having observed the symptoms of a great many cases, and therefore able to hold the mind of image of a disease. So when he thoroughly see the very image of a sickness that exists upon the human race, he is then prepared to study the materia medica. So in this there is no miasm of a human race that does not have its imitation of drugs. The animal kingdom has in its the image of sickness, and the vegetable and the mineral kingdoms is likewise like manner. And if man perfectly conservant with the substance of these three kingdoms, he could treat the whole human race. That is, to understand the disease condition properly, the acute disease condition, he must realize the homeopathic materia medica, that is divided into the three parts, that is the animal kingdom, vegetable kingdom and the mineral kingdom, and he have to take the proper knowledge of these different kingdoms, and he has to treat the disease accordingly. So this is given in this chapter, that is the chapter number 4, the fixed principles according to Dr. Kent, and law and government from the center. So in this the main things that are you have to remember in this, that every pathy must be depend on a fixed principles, then it is considered as a real pathy. And the allopathy, which is based on the medicine of experience, that is anyone teach can learn that pathy with only experience. Then after this, Dr. Kent divided the body into triad, that is the every cell has innermost, middle and the outermost layer. Then after this he give the explanation about the government, that is everything goes from center to circumferences. After this he give the example of potentization. After this he give the explanation regarding the aphorism number 4, that is the preserver of health. The physician must be the preserver of health. After this he give the explanation of aphorism number 5, that is relating to the exciting cause, that is every acute disease is caused due to the exciting causes or the acute miasm, and every acute disease having three stages, that is the prodromal stage, progressive stage and the declining stage. And to treat the every disease condition you have to take the proper knowledge of homeopathic materia medica, that is divided into animal, vegetable and the mineral kingdom. So this is regarding the chapter number 4th from Kant's philosophy. I think all of you understand or any difficulty regarding it. कळत आहे सगळ्यांना? Yes, respond. करिश्मा. ओके, थोडे लेक्चर माझे इरेग्युलर होतील याच्यामध्ये. घरी लग्न आहे माझ्या, लग्नाचा कार्यक्रम आहे, त्याच्यामुळे जसं वेळ मिळेल मी तसं घेत जाईल. तसं फिक्स सांगू शकत नाही की दररोज होईलच म्हणून. चालेलच, तुम्हाला चांगलंच आहे ना. बर बर, चाल. ग्रुपवरती मेसेज बघत जा फक्त, जर असेल तर ग्रुपवरती टाकत जाईल मी, नाही तर फिक्स तसं सांगू शकत नाही. हो, एक दोन आठवडे डिस्टर्ब होईल, पुढचे 2 आठवडे आणखी. Okay, chalo. So we will stop here. In next lecture, we will start with next topic. So bye everyone. Please send me attendance. Bye.